Howdy ho, good neighbor. Today we're flying high above Schnitzer Steel, or formerly known as Schnitzer Steel. Of course, I'm not saying that right because it's a hard word to say. But why I am flying over here is because, the other day they had a big fire here, and this is the day after. Schnitzer Steel is what it's called. But so I thought this place would still be on fire, but as I got here, the fire department trucks were still here, but the fire was out. But you can see the damage is done. There was a big pile, and now it's a whole bunch of small piles. The big pile caught on fire, so they had to drag all these small piles and dump tons of water on it. At one time they had the police and fire boat, I guess you call it a fire boat, shooting water from the bay onto the fire. But now the fire's out, but there's still little hot spots. So you can see they're bringing in some equipment now to move this stuff around. It's probably cool enough that they can move it around. But I do feel for this steel company because now they just have a big old pile of trash. Because I'm sure after the steel catches fire, I don't think it's very valuable, is it? But look at all the water. The whole yard is flooded. As far as you can see, the water is everywhere. That's because they were dumping water on this for 24 hours straight. So just imagine the gallons of water that we wasted putting out water for scrap. And water is such a valuable resource that it's just hard to see it wasted on basically scrap metal. So you can see that the big equipment is coming on. They have to keep moving this stuff around because another fire might start. So they move it around. And I could just imagine what it's like to work there and just had to work all night. I don't know if these guys have even gotten off of work yet. You know, when there's a big fire at your job, you just can't clock out. You have to stay there until the fire's out, I would imagine. But the fire department's still there. You can see them up there at the top left. But the cleanup has just begun. This is where we bring our old cars. You can see piles of cars smashed up, and they stick them in a grinder right there. And they chop them up into small pieces and send those small pieces to different parts of this planet for recycling. People have been wanting to shut this eyesore down, but there's money to be made in scrap metal. So that's where that conveyor belt goes all the way up and spits out chunks of metal. I would imagine washing machines, old cars, and even an old BART train. Look at there, right in the middle of your screen is an old BART railroad train, if that's the right term. Couple oil tankers. So they take all kinds of metal here and they just chop it up and spit it out and send it to other parts of the world, like I said. But back to these guys moving this metal around after they worked all day. It's got to be hard. And even the fire department, look at, they're probably just about wore out too after working all night. I'm sure their boots are all wet and they smell like oil and water, kind of like a fire sprinkler fitter. But you can just imagine the oil and gas still in the cars seeping into all that metal. And when there's a fire, well, you just can't stop it. It's not that easy to get to the bottom of this pile. As you can see, it's a couple stories high of flammable metal. So I think all this metal is trash now. I don't think they can reuse it. You can see that guy, how he scraped a big pile off, and now he's just making sure nothing's on fire. What is going through this operator's mind? Like, I'm sure he is just going, what just happened? Well, now the lawyers get involved. That's right. The lawyers are going to get involved, and they're suing this scrapyard because of the toxic smoke that carried over into Oakland and affected poor and black and brown people. That's who the lawsuit is for, poor and black people, black and brown people. But I'm sure that there are some white people that are just as poor in Oakland. It always boggles my mind that these people put poor black and brown people without realizing that there are poor white people. Pretty soon we'll all be poor because the middle class is going away, and we will have to dig through these dumps like they do in India for our daily pittance. Well, that's really all I got to say about this fire. Is it's just a shame to see good money go up in flames, and good hard work too. These people labored to make that metal just right, and how does it catch on fire? That's the mystery. How does Hawaii, Maui catch on fire? How does Canada catch on fire? How does California catch on fire? Well, there is a rumor going around that somebody is setting fires. And they're setting fires to brand new apartment buildings around here. So, in the underground internet, I'm sure there's an arson community that's saying, let's have chaos. But that's just my conspiracy mind. But I know fires don't start by themselves. The fires are always in the news, but not the start and cause of the fire. Just makes you wonder if the news is lying to you and me. Well, you can't believe what you see, and you can't believe what you hear. So what can you believe? Well, you can believe me that I sure do enjoy having you come along with me on these scrapyard fire adventures. But before I land this old bird, I thought I'd take you over to the Bay Ship Dry Dock. That's right, a dry dock where they work on boats and ships and everything in between. That parking lot is full of workers that do everything from electrical work to steel work, and I'm sure there's even some pipe fitters down there. But there's the bay ship, the old dry dock ship. They work on some beauties there. Well, I didn't catch the fire. I was a little late. All I got was the mess. But the mess was better than nothing, wasn't it? I don't know. I guess I probably should have woke up late and drove over here, but I got a life to live, and I hope I live it right. Well, as always, I want to thank you again for coming along with me on these scrap fire yard adventures. That right? How about scrap yard fire adventures? Alright, you know the drill. Peace, love, and all that hippie jazz. Bye-bye, everybody. Stay strong. Stay healthy.